Turn the hospital water back on, Margaret. This is about lives.
This is about bylaws, Whitaker.
The hospital must face the consequences.
The battle for Maple Grove. The perfect cup of coffee isn't just a drink, it's a ritual, a moment of clarity in a chaotic world. For me, James Whitaker, a 52-year-old retiree who'd escaped the grind of Silicon Valley, it was the whole point of cashing out early. After 20 years navigating the tech industry's cutthroat waters, managing a team of brilliant but chaotic programmers, I timed the market perfectly, sold my stock options, and walked away. My prize? A quiet life in Maple Grove, a suburban enclave where the loudest sound was supposed to be the hum of my coffee grinder as it churned through single-origin Colombian beans. My new home was a quirky, single-story relic from the 1950s, once a municipal utility annex. It had thick concrete walls, a basement built like a bunker, and a stack of cryptic blueprints that came with the deed. I got it cheap because it was odd, and I loved it for the same reason. The plan was simple: sip coffee, tinker with the house, and avoid humanity for the foreseeable future. That Tuesday morning, I was living the dream. Sunlight streamed through the kitchen window, illuminating the steam rising from my mug. The coffee tasted like freedom, with hints of caramel, according to the bag's claim. Outside, Maple Grove was a picture of suburban perfection, lawns mowed to a uniform half-inch, cars parked at precise angles, maple trees pruned into submission. It was the kind of quiet you see in movies right before disaster strikes. Then my phone rang, shattering the peace. It was Ellen Harper, my neighbor 2 doors down. Ellen, a sharp-tongued divorce attorney, was one of the few people in this neighborhood I could stand. The other was Mike, a gruff contractor I was still sizing up, mostly because he communicated in monosyllables. "James, are you seeing this?" Ellen's voice was frantic, stripped of its usual sarcasm. "The hospital's water is out, completely shut off in the pediatric wing." I frowned, glancing out the window. Maple Grove Medical Center, a sprawling campus of brick and glass, sat just beyond my backyard, its new pediatric oncology wing sharing a property line with my lot. "Probably a main break," I said, sipping my coffee. "City pipes are ancient." "It's not," Ellen snapped. "My sprinklers are fine, and the hospital's facilities manager says the pressure dropped to 0 instantly. The city claims the mains are working." And James' staff saw Margaret Hensley near the main shutoff valve 20 minutes ago. My stomach twisted. Margaret Hensley, the iron-fisted president of the Maple Grove Homeowners Association, was a force of nature in a pastel cardigan. In the 3 months since I'd moved in, she'd sent me 4 violation notices. One for a welcome mat with a whimsical dog design, another for a delivery box left on my porch too long, a third for a stray leaf pile, and a fourth because my mailbox wasn't the approved shade of taupe. Margaret patrolled the streets in a golf cart, clipboard in hand, her eyes scanning for any infraction: a blade of grass too tall, a car parked an inch off center. She was a tyrant in sensible loafers, and the main water valve sat on a disputed strip of land between my property and the hospital's access road. "No," I whispered, setting my mug down. "She wouldn't." "She would," Ellen said grimly. "You know she would. She's been ranting about the hospital's new mural, called it a visual travesty at the last HOA meeting." I looked out my window, past my sprinklers, and saw it. A gaudy wrought iron fence, like something guarding a poodle's grave, freshly erected around the blue industrial valve. And there, radiating smugness, stood Margaret Hensley. Barefoot, I stormed across my lawn, fury propelling me. Margaret didn't flinch as I approached, just made a tick mark on her clipboard. Her auburn hair was shellacked into place, her navy blazer tucked tightly over khakis. "Margaret," I said, my voice low and dangerous. "What did you do?" She looked up, her eyes appraising me like I was a weed in her garden. "Good morning, Mr. Whitaker. I trust you received the notice about your lawn's non-compliant edging." "Forget my lawn," I snapped, pointing at the valve. "Turn the hospital's water back on. Now." Her lips curled into a thin smile. "I'm afraid that's not possible. The hospital has violated Maple Grove's aesthetic standards. That garish mural on their new wing was built without board approval, and they failed to pay the utility access fee outlined in our bylaws for non-residential entities." I stared, incredulous. "You made that fee up, didn't you? Printed it in your home office and stapled it to your rule book." "Rules are rules," she said, tapping her clipboard. A laminated sign on her fence read, HOA Common Area. No unauthorized access. There are sick kids in there. I roared, my composure fraying. Kids with cancer. They need clean water. Do you understand what you've done? Margaret looked affronted. I'm protecting our community's property values, Mr. Whitaker. Perhaps if the hospital respected our regulations, this could have been avoided. Arguing with her was like wrestling a brick wall. Her HOA bylaws were her gospel, trumping decency, logic, and morality. She was untouchable in her beige kingdom. As she droned on about visual harmony, my rage cooled into focus. I remembered the words of the city engineer who'd sold me the house. This place was built to last. Cold War redundancies for the hospital. Most of it's disconnected, but the bones are solid. A backup system. An emergency bypass. I turned mid-sentence, ignoring Margaret's squawk of protest, and sprinted home. The blueprints, once a nerdy curiosity, were now my lifeline. I crashed into the basement, a chaotic mess of boxes and tools, and found it. A massive red lever, like something from a submarine, set into a concrete block. A faded plate read, Maple Grove Medical Center. Auxiliary pump engage. My heart pounded. This was it. I gripped the lever, but it wouldn't budge, rusted from decades of neglect. I pulled harder, muscles straining, until, with a groan like a waking giant, it gave way. A deep rumble shook the floor as ancient pipes roared to life. My phone buzzed. It was Ellen. James, it's back on, she shouted. The water's back. How'd you do it? Aggressive plumbing. I panted, grinning. Tell the hospital they're on the backup. No idea how long it'll hold. 30 minutes later, red and blue lights flashed outside. Margaret, moving with the speed of a scorned bureaucrat, had called the police. 2 officers stood on my lawn, listening to her gesticulate wildly. Officer Brooks, a young rookie with a starched uniform, looked nervous. Officer Sullivan, a grizzled veteran, radiated exhaustion. Sir, Brooks said, we received a report of illegal tampering with municipal infrastructure. I leaned against my doorframe. Let me guess. The report came from a woman who thinks my mailbox is a crime against humanity. Margaret glared. He's activated a rogue system. It's unregulated, a danger to the community. Sullivan sighed, a sound heavy with years of pointless disputes. You got paperwork for this pump? He asked me. I've got 1960s blueprints that look like ancient scrolls, I said. They're cool if you're into civil engineering. Sullivan's eye twitched. Just tell me what happened. 20 words, or fewer. She cut off the hospital's water. I turned on an emergency pump on my property. The hospital's fine now. Brooks flipped through his notebook. The complainant says the valves on HOA property. She also says my mailbox clashes with the neighborhood's vibe. I shot back. Her grip on reality's shaky. Sullivan turned to Margaret. Ma'am, did you shut off the hospital's water? I was enforcing our bylaws, she huffed. Sullivan rubbed his nose, pained. This is a civil matter, he said. We can't arrest him for turning on a pipe on his land that helps a hospital you admit you cut off. Margaret sputtered, but Sullivan waved her off. As he left, he muttered to me, You've kicked a hornet's nest. She's a professional pain. Get a lawyer. The war escalated. Margaret bombarded me with violation notices. My grass was too long. My trash cans lingered past dawn. My mailbox's taupe was too warm. I fought back with malicious compliance, trimming my lawn with sewing scissors and programming my garage to move trash cans with robotic precision. For the mailbox, I painted it a garish, militaristic taupe and stenciled rebel taupe on the side. Then I paid her $225 in fines with bags of pennies, left on her doorstep like a passive-aggressive monument. Ellen, over coffee downtown, laid out the legal mess. The 1950 city plat showed a utility easement where Margaret's fence stood, but the HOA's sloppy 1980s charter claimed it as common area. It's a gray area, Ellen said. She knows it. Her husband's a retired real estate lawyer. She's betting you and the hospital won't fight a costly legal battle. This wasn't just petty tyranny, it was calculated extortion. My fight wasn't just personal anymore. It was about stopping a bully exploiting a loophole. Margaret upped the ante, flooding my backyard construction site where Mike was building a concrete fortress around my pump with her sprinklers. It was deliberate sabotage, delaying our work and costing thousands. The neighborhood split. Some cowered, others rebelled. Mr. Thompson, a timid retiree, painted his mailbox rebel taupe. A band pink flamingo reappeared, defiantly wearing a beige sweater. The resistance was growing. Then Dr. Linda Carter, the hospital's chief administrator, visited. "You saved us," she said. "We were minutes from evacuating 17 immunocompromised kids. A dangerous, traumatic ordeal. Your pump was a miracle." She offered the hospital's legal team to fight Margaret. "We're in your debt, James. You're not alone." The stakes crystallized. This was about those kids, not just my pride. The final blow came when Ellen texted about an emergency HOA meeting. Margaret, framing my pump as a public hazard, convinced the board to hire a contractor to dismantle it. They were coming at 8 a.m. I rallied Mike and his crew Alex and Dimitri for an all-night push to finish the fortress. Fueled by pizza and coffee, we worked under floodlights, pouring concrete and welding steel. By dawn, the fortress of flow stood, an ugly, indestructible monument to defiance. At 7:45 a.m., Margaret arrived with a demolition crew and officers Sullivan and Brooks. She waved a work order, demanding access. I stood firm, backed by Mike's crew. The air crackled with tension as neighbors watched. Then Ellen screeched up in her sedan, clutching a 1957 Master Plat. "This predates your HOA," she declared, pointing to a notation granting my lot permanent rights to the hospital's water system. "You have no authority here, Margaret." The contractor, reading the document, backed off. "Not touching that," he said, leaving. Margaret unraveled, accusing us of conspiracy. Sullivan stepped in. "You filed false reports, harassed this man, vandalized his property, and endangered a hospital. We're done here." Defeated, Margaret fled to her house. The war was over. A week later, the neighborhood ousted Margaret in a packed HOA meeting. Fines were voided, and Rebel Taupe became the official mailbox color. Margaret's house went up for sale. She vanished, reportedly to torment another HOA. At a community barbecue co-hosted with the hospital, kids from the pediatric wing gave me a glittery, world's best plumber trophy. Neighbors laughed. Mr. Thompson showed off his mailbox, and even Sullivan, in a Hawaiian shirt, smiled. Standing on my deck, trophy beside me, I looked at the vibrant chaos of my new community. I'd wanted solitude but found something better. Peace, not silence. Maple Grove, once a beige prison, was alive with defiance and connection. I'd come home. What do you think about James's fight against Margaret's tyranny? Have you faced similar battles against petty power or injustice? Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's hear your take on standing up to bullies and protecting what matters. Your voice counts.